Okay, well, I have 1 o'clock exactly, Central Time. Sorry for the confusion for you East Coasters. Yeah, it's 1 o'clock Central Time. I know a bunch of you are on at noon. I appreciate your dedication, though. Um, so I think we've got more people joining, but we'll just go ahead in the interest of time. I don't want to hold anybody up. We are going to discuss today the 3 104G opportunities, nationally competitive grants, and provide some proposal preparation guidance for those opportunities. And it doesn't want to forward. Let's see, there we go. Okay, so today's webinar, we're going to introduce the National Institutes for Water Resources, for those of you who don't know who we are or what we do, and the water centers and institutes in the state. We will discuss eligibility and how to apply for these 3 opportunities, which are the 104G grants. There's a general opportunity, AIS opportunity, and a PFAS opportunity, and we will discuss the research priorities for those. We'll provide an overview of the RFPs with an emphasis on the budget criteria, which can be tricky for these proposals. Each of these encourage USGS collaboration, and I'm hopeful that there are several USGS potential collaborators on the call and that we can help make connections with today with researchers in the states. We will have self-selecting breakout rooms for each of the 3 programs, as well as an opportunity to remain in the main room with any general questions you might have following the presentation. So for those that aren't familiar, the National Water or Institutes for Water Resources, we are a national network, 54 institutes across the nation, 1 in each state at the land grant institution in their state. There are 54 because there's 1 at all 50 states and then each of the U.S. territories. These opportunities are to be submitted through those institutes within your state. They're only available to be submitted through the institutes and submitted back to USGS that way. Eligibility, any investigator at an accredited institution of higher learning is eligible to submit a proposal in response to these opportunities. The investigators in each state, again, must submit through the designated Water Resource Institute in that state. There's a QR code here that will help you identify which institute or the contact information for the people in your institute within your state, if you need that information. Again, you'll work with your state Water Resource Institute contact on preparing your proposal. In the Great Lakes region, so the network itself, the national network, is divided into regions, and the Great Lakes region is the one hosting this in collaboration with the staff network. But so there's contact information here for those, that region. Application requirements may differ in each state, and that's key, so you'll definitely want to make those connections early. As soon as possible if you're intending to submit a proposal. Timeline on these opportunities, they were released through grants.gov on August 15th. Again, the proposal submission deadline for the full proposal to your Water Resource Institute varies by state. It's estimated to be around mid-September, and this will allow for time for that institute to get the proposals, review them, and get them over to their sponsored programs office so that they can be loaded onto grants.gov for the full submission by the September 30th deadline. That is a hard deadline, September 30th. If the proposals are not submitted in grants.gov by that time, they will be disqualified. And yeah, so make sure you check with your institute on their internal deadlines. Sometime around Thanksgiving, USGS is anticipating announcing the funding decisions, those that will be awarded. And with a February 1st start date is anticipated, there's always potential delays in getting the money over to the institutes. And then there's also, sponsored programs offices are not the fastest, and so there may be additional delays on actually receiving the funding if you are at an institute that does not house the Water Resource Institute. Some other deadlines could be, your institute may have other deadlines as well within your state. So some of them require a notification of intent to submit a full proposal. So again, you want to check with them. And sometimes the institute may require budgets and justifications prior to the full proposal submission, just so they can get a jump start on what they're looking at for these proposals and how long it might take them to get them over to their sponsored programs office. Again, there are 3 nationally competitive grant opportunities available at this time. As a general water resource research competitive grant, there is one specifically for aquatic invasive species. This call is limited to research being done in the upper Mississippi River Basin. And more on that in a bit. And then there's also one on PFAS. All 3 programs focus on address the Water Resource Research Institute's mission, which is include these priorities, or your research should focus and include these kind of criteria as well. So they should focus on water problems and issues of a regional or interstate nature beyond those of concern only to a single state. And they should be related to the specific priorities identified in each RFP, which we'll get into those details in a minute. As part of the mission of the institutes, the research should promote the dissemination and application of the results to the scientific community and to the general public. And it should assist in the training, when possible, of scientists in relevant water-related fields. Proposals that include a strong educational component and provide student support are encouraged, as are those applications submitted from early career faculty. Please note the federally appropriated monies. So the money from these awards cannot be used for federal salary, travel, or any other expenses. So you can have federal collaborators on these, but these monies cannot be used to support their salary, travel, or other expenses. The 104G specifically, kind of drilling down a bit here, it has an additional objective to promote collaboration between the USGS and university scientists on significant national and regional water resource issues. While I said that the award money cannot fund a federal worker, there are additional monies under the 104G opportunity only. It doesn't apply to the AIS or the PFAS opportunities. Up to $40,000 of internal USGS funds are available to fund the salary or other expenses for USGS co-PI. That USGS collaborator cannot be the PI or the lead PI on the application. They can only serve as a co-PI. The application for this funding is kind of its own proposal and is kind of more of a supplement to the opportunity itself. So to apply for this $40,000, you would also attach the submission or a statement of government involvement, including a work plan, budget, and explanation of personnel, as well as the SF 424 budget information form and a budget narrative. So again, this is in kind of a supplement to the 104G general opportunity only. Getting into the 104G general opportunity, the research priorities, there are 2 in this call. The first one is for economic value of information of the USGS stream gauge network and associated national water information system. I didn't detail all of the priority here. You can read more about it in the call. There are several links to resources within the description of the priority. And those don't seem to work in the PDF of the call, so I've linked them here, and I will share this presentation after the webinar. So you'll have access to those links if you need them. More about the first priority. Proposals can seek a trade-off, or should seek a trade-off between examining multiple benefit categories at a reduced geographic scale versus a limited number of benefit categories at a national scale. Preference will be given to the proposals that provide a nationwide assessment, and the minimum geographic scope of these proposals is the HUC 12. These proposals should define the program, including identifying the objective and scope. They should identify costs and benefits. They should quantify those costs and benefits in terms of a monetary valuation. Proposals in response to this research priority should also analyze a time frame and discounting in terms of a time horizon and discount rate. They should analyze stakeholders by identifying affected parties and report findings. You can present methodology, assumptions, and results, as well as recommendations. So that's the first research priority under the 104G General. The second 104G General Research Priority is model advancement and machine learning integration. These are expected to explore methods to develop new hydrologic models in large regional areas, or where possible at the national level, to enhance understanding of water availability. They should provide information on promising modeling approaches to inform science questions specific to a region. And some examples can include machine learning techniques for water quality data, groundwater and base flow predictions, and causal machine learning exploration. The second opportunity is around aquatic invasive species. Again, this is a nationally competitive opportunity, so all of the institutes within the national network, so one in each state and U.S. territory, are eligible to submit a proposal in response to this call, but the research itself must the proposed work must be done within the delineated area of the Upper Mississippi River Basin. The research priorities for this call include effects, research that improves our understanding of the effects of aquatic invasive species on lakes, rivers, and associated tributaries in the Upper Mississippi River Basin. Characteristics include physical, biological, and chemical characteristics of the water bodies that infer resistance and resilience to the distribution, establishment, and effects of AIS, and management in terms of detection, spread, and management of invasive species. Please note that this does not include the physical control of AIS. And the third opportunity research priorities are for PFAS, and they include media-specific methods. And the medias of interest include tissues and plasma, sediment, air or other interfaces, and water in that order for PFAS research. And other research priorities under this call include atmospheric sources, improved understanding of the atmospheric exchange and PFAS distribution and fate, as well as processes oriented at the molecular level, physical or biological. And so again, you can read more about those in the call themselves. Federal collaboration with USGS or other federal scientists is encouraged in each of these calls. Federal employees, again, may not be the PI, but they can be a co-PI. Federal agencies may not receive funds from these grants. And again, for the general only, USGS scientists can obtain internal research funds to support their activities. And I mentioned the additional paperwork required. Funding for a collaborator is from USGS and not included in these full proposal budgets. And you can, again, contact your Water Resource Research Institute for assistance in identifying USGS collaborators. And there's also a link here for to the USGS Connect website. So you can possibly look them up that way if you'd like. Budget requirements. These can be tricky for these opportunities. So for the general opportunity, USGS is anticipating awarding six projects of up to $310,000 each. PFAS projects, you can propose up to $309,000, and USGS anticipates awarding 9 of those. And for the aquatic invasive species, you can request up to $346,875, and 4 awards are anticipated under that opportunity. Again, these are nationally competitive. Project duration for each of them is 1 to 3 years, and the anticipated project start date is February 1st, 2026. Each of them requires a 1-to-1 non-federal cost share on a 12-month basis. So for each 12 months of the project period, you have to bring a 1-to-1 match of the award money to non-federal dollars. Facilities and administrative costs or indirect costs at some institutions. These can be tricky with these opportunities. They cannot be paid from the federal award funds. So for example, for the general opportunity, of the $310,000, none of that can be applied to facilities and administrative or indirect costs. However, the portion that would normally be charged to that $310,000 can be used as a portion of the match, or to meet the 1-to-1 cost share. And so there are some institutions across your state that you might find they will say it is against university policy to apply unrecovered FNA or FNA in general to and use it as match. However, this can be an exception, or universities can make an exception to this. So you should definitely discuss this with your fiscal support at your institution if this is something that you've been told, and they may be able to make an exception to that for this type of opportunity. Okay, so applying that FNA to the match can sometimes be confusing, so I've included an example here. So in row A, if your total project costs, you're requesting the full $310,000 of the general opportunity, for example. So your supplies, your personnel, travel, and everything related to that award, your project that you want to be awarded the funding for, a total of $310,000. And then the non-federal portion that you're proposing to bring is typically a PI's effort, contributed effort to the project. And so in this case, we designated that as $90,500 worth of effort of a PI or collaborator for these funds. On a standard proposal, or a most typical proposal, the $310,000 would then be multiplied by a FNA rate, in this example, of 55%. So 310,000 times 55% is this portion here under the non-federal, the $170,500. That would typically come out of a standard award. However, that's not allowable here. And so instead you can use that as part of the 1-to-1 match requirement to meet that for these proposals. And then again, for the non-federal portion, you can multiply your FNA rate of here 55% by the $90,500 effort contribution of the PI, and you get another $49,775 that again can be used towards your match contribution. So the use of these F&A funds as match can significantly reduce the amount of effort a PI has to contribute to meet the match requirement of these opportunities. So in total, if you were awarded this project, this example project, you would receive $310,000 from USGS through your Water Resource Research Institute, and you have provided $310,775 of match. Again, this has to be on a 12-month basis, so you want to make sure that you're meeting that one-to-one requirement over every 12-month period of your project. The F&A rate here, for example, is 55%, and it can differ even by institution within your state. So make sure you're checking with your fiscal office to get the appropriate rate for that, as well as with your Water Resource Institute. Budget requirements. These are very they're mandatory. You have to make sure that you're following these and providing as much detail as you can. Things will get kicked back or unfunded if the level of detail provided is not adequate. In terms of salary, the salary budget line, PIs can request salary from these federal funds, but it must be limited to 2 months of salary per year. And then the budget justification, this is where the most detail is needed. And USGS provides a template, and that is a requirement. You must use their templates as well as so the justification example of the template is pictured here on the right, and they also provide a spreadsheet for the budget as well. Your institute or your institution or the Water Resource Institute may require its own budget spreadsheet and other things as well. So again, follow up with them. In terms of the budget justification, you can see on the right here under salaries and wages, it's broken out between the federal and the matching portions. Make sure you're entering in and filling in the necessary parts for each of those under each line item. And provide details. So very specific details, number of samples per testing kit capacity, times the number of tests you anticipate needing, and the cost per test. Subawards need to provide the same level of detail as the full proposal. Again, use the USGS provided templates. Those are linked within each of the RFPs. Common budget issues, again, are not enough details. So if you're budgeting for tuition, you should include the number of students, time per the number of semesters, the rate per semester, and the total amount. Supplies should include the item name, where possible, amount per unit, number of units, cost per unit, and total cost. Services and consultants should include rate, hours, and total cost. Travel, when available, you should include the name of the conference you plan to attend, the date and the location. Any other trip destinations, including fieldwork or anything like that, should include the number of personnel traveling, the number of days, per diem rate, lodging rate, mileage and mileage rate or airfare for each trip. Unallowed costs include gifts, gift cards, incentives, gratuities, catering, and food. Indirect costs, so those are the F&A rates, and each institution should have its own indirect rate agreement, and that must be included with your application. There is a section in the RFPs that discusses a de minimis rate of 15%. That is for institutes that do not have, or institutions that do not have a negotiated rate for the state. And I have never encountered one of those, so I'm not sure exactly what they look like, but I believe if your institution does not have a negotiated rate, you can use an indirect rate of up to 15%. Equipment costs this year have increased, so if you're proposing to purchase equipment, anything over $10,000 needs a manufacturer's quote. And again, subawards need to have just as much detail in their justifications and their budget as the full proposal. Some additional advice, connect with other teams who are applying to the same RFP. We're hoping to make those connections today through this webinar during our breakout sessions here in a bit. And the reason for these connections is that there's very low chance. There's limited awards being issued. And if there are two proposals that are very similar, USGS is not likely to fund them. Differentiating proposals will improve everyone's chances. Student involvement is key. And you should also note that these should be regional or nationally important. Your proposal should address a regional or nationally important issue, but that doesn't mean that all of your collaborators need to be spread throughout that region, but the research needs to be regionally relevant. Make sure you read through the criteria for review within each RFP as you write your proposal to make sure you're addressing each of the criteria. And make sure you answer choose one of the specific priorities or more within each RFP and make sure you address that within your proposal. Okay, so I did want to first share with you that this is the USGS Water Research Act Program Manager, Christian Schmidt, and he is also on the call. But I wanted to share his contact information with you in case you needed any further clarification on the RFPs or anything as you begin to prepare your proposals. And so now with that, we will have 3 breakout rooms and the opportunity to stay in the main room if you'd like, or jump to a breakout room later. If you have any main budget questions or anything, those will be addressed in the main room. We'll have a breakout room for the aquatic invasive species, opportunity of the PFAS, and the general opportunities. And this will be hopefully a chance for you to make some connections. In these, we suggest you discuss, introduce yourselves, discuss your topic or area of interest if you're willing to share at this point, any interest you have in collaboration, and then any other questions you have. So I can, at this point, I can address any questions, just general main questions, and then we can fall into the breakout rooms if you'd like. Does anybody have anything?
Hi, Amy, this is Ropo from SIU. Yeah, so is there any internal competition for this limited submission? Should we send any pre-proposal to the center and you do any screening process?
No, it's not a limited submission. So yeah, and it's not, no, the institutes are not, at least the Illinois Institute is not limiting the submissions. And I haven't heard of any other institutes doing that.
Okay, thanks.
Andrew, you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was wondering about the different priorities for the 104G grants. It seems similar to the priorities this year seem similar to the priorities from last year. And I was wondering if this is what we can expect for most years, or does this change much from year to year?
I know they've changed slightly. Christian, would you like to jump in on that?
Yeah, sure. This year they have actually changed, I think, a fair bit from last year's 104G announcement. They do change year to year. I mean, what we're doing internally is we're kind of pivoting where we need to and say, where are the gaps we have that maybe we're not able to fill with our current workforce. So every year we have a discussion directly on the 104G to decide what kind of priorities we want to put into this RFP.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Amy.
Yes.
Hey, Jason Barrett, Mississippi State. The 104G is, and again, you may have a breakout room that's gonna tackle this, but I feel like the aquatic invasives and the PFAS is fairly straightforward on what it's going for. So I'm interested in where's the general going? What is it looking for? What are we looking for there? So, are you planning to have a breakout room on that?
Yes. I don't know. if Christian, if you have some more information there, or
Could you say that again, Jason? I didn't quite catch what the question was. If there was a breakout, there's a breakout, but you wanted to have a discussion about what exactly?
Yeah, I'm at the front end of this, and then also being a new director, I'm not aware of actually what the general is looking for. And I was saying that with aquatic invasives and PFAS, I have a good idea of what they're tackling or trying to. Those RFPs are very specific, so I know that. So I'm just curious on the general, what it may be looking for.
Yeah, I mean, Amy did cover. She grabbed the stuff that was out of the RFP that was posted on the first.
Okay.
So it was in this slide deck. I guess for the purposes of this webinar, I was going to try to stay on the call I was going to try to stay in the main room for any budget questions, but
Okay.
if you want, I can join the 104G room first and just cover kind of what the thinking there is and for a few minutes and then jump back to the main room if you want.
Thank you, Amy. I see that. Yeah.
any other
Okay,
general
I'm
questions
good.
right now? Thanks.
Amy, there's a couple in the chat. Maybe just going back over one of the questions is just to confirm the ultimate grants.gov submission should be made by the state WRR director or the PI in an accredited institute.
Yeah, so the submission needs to go, the grants.gov submission should be through your Water Resource Institute. They will submit it to their sponsored programs office, and that sponsored programs office is the one that will click the submission to grants.gov.
And then is there a limit on the number of collaborators?
Not that I'm aware of.
I wouldn't think so either.
There's not a limit, but if a review panel is looking at a proposal and there's 8 different co-PIs that are supposed to contribute to the final product, it does tend to raise a few eyebrows.
Okay.
It doesn't prevent the proposal from going forward. It's just one of those like, who's actually doing the work kind of a thing.
Okay, you have your hand raised?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my question is, suppose we had some interstate collaboration. How do we decide which state institute submits the proposal, or do we both?
I would say the state that is, well, where the lead PI is and where the research is being done. Those should be the same.
Okay, so if it's regional, that's just a decision that we would make.
Christian, do you have input?
That's really up to probably the 2 institutes to decide who wants to submit it. I mean, what we don't want to do is, excuse me, for these competitive awards, if Arkansas wanted to do a project in Texas, there's nothing that says they can't. Right? There's no geographic bound on where they want to do their project. If it's a place-based except for the AIS one. So it's really on the institutes to decide how they want to put forward who wants to claim it. Because here's the thing, is that the way the funding works is that institute's going to take some overhead out of that funding for whatever your university process is for accepting grants. See what I'm saying? So Arkansas and Texas, not picking on them. If Arkansas has most of their people on it, but it goes to Texas, is Texas taking the overhead off this grant for operations and Arkansas is just hanging around?
Yeah, okay, I see what you're getting at. All right, thank you.
Okay, I want to leave enough time for everybody to get into their rooms and everything. So I'm going to stop sharing now. And there should be up on the top of your, well, it's on the top of my window. It says rooms. So you should be able to click on that. And then you should be able to select, oh, it says there, oh, let me open them. There's one for general, one for AIS, and one for PFAS. So you can go ahead and jump into whatever room you are interested in.
Hey, Amy, I know Tim wanted to go to the AIS room. I'm trying to check if others.
The YX011 wants to go to PFAS.
Yeah, I think Amy's on hold now. So she might be in a room.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, folks. Amy's the one who's cut the power. So we'll just try to, she might be missing some of the chat as she goes in and out of the room. So when she comes back, we'll just let people know. But if there's anybody else in the open room here that wants to go somewhere else, just send it in the chat and Melissa and I will make sure Amy knows when she's back. Sorry about that.
Melissa, is it just us right here?
I show quite a few people still in this room.
Okay, I'm sorry, I had to step out. I'm gonna jump over to 104G for a second.
Oh, if you know how to, jump right in. So the people still in here either want to be here or don't have the options to pick a room. So if you have the options to pick a room, go for it.
I'm just glad I realized it's on Teams and not Zoom. I was trying to log into Zoom. So.
I just sent a direct message to Amy. I don't know if she'll get it or not.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a way to make a co-host in the future, but that in one of these, I don't know how to put people in otherwise.
I don't think you have the power right now. I'm going to go look for Amy in the rooms, folks. Hopefully I make it back. I'll go look for her.
Melissa, what's happening that people can't get into the breakout rooms?
So what it is some of them don't have the option where they can click on rooms. It must be that they don't have it like downloaded onto their computer or something. So we have been trying to put in either they're putting in the chat or I did a little screenshot of a couple where it says where they want to go. But I think only Amy is able to assign them
actually
rooms.
there. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any way that Amy can make it so that more of us can. And it could be that I don't know how to do it, but I think I don't have the power to.
Yeah, I don't see options that I can assign anybody. Yeah. I can see where the breakout rooms are and could join them, but I don't see how I can put somebody in one.
Yeah, I actually tried even grabbing a person to see if it would let me drop it over there and it didn't. So I don't know what.
That's intuitive.
You can open up and like see all the people in there, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, there's no dropping. That doesn't work.
That would have been nice. Drag and drop them in.
Right. That's I mean, we can do that with so many things these days.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Amy.
Hi.
How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I'm great. Okay. All right. Who needs to be assigned? Who wants to go where?
So we put a whole bunch in the chat, but this I don't know what order everybody is on your screen. If you want them to like say it and then you do it, or if you want to look at the notes. There was some that.
Yeah, I think I got everybody that's in the chat so far.
So you have the, okay, so you did more?
I think you might not see the chat when you leave the room. I wonder if that's what's happened.
Well, it's popping up. So the last one I see is Stephanie Ewing, and I moved her to
Okay.
PFAS.
Cool.
Okay. Well,
Who's
and we're
left?
not on 2 pages anymore. So maybe if anybody unmutes, if they want to be somewhere else.
Yeah, let me know.
I know Tim wanted to go to AIS.
Okay, Tim, let me see.
Yep, appreciate it. And I wonder how many people are having room trouble, how many of us are on mobile, because I, of course, had to go get a sick kid, like right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, makes sense.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. So I see Alex Collins wants to go to. Alex, for some reason, yours says that I see this person cannot access breakout rooms. So I'm not sure if that's internal thing with your platform. Karen, I'm working on you, getting you over. Where do you want to go, Karen? Oh, PFAS, I see. Okay. Tim, I moved him. All right. Anybody else want to go somewhere else?
Alex Collins was
Yeah, I
going to
can't-
AIS. Oh,
can't
okay.
get
That's
him.
when you couldn't. Got it. Sorry.
Yeah. And then there was another one
There
that I
was-
couldn't do that with. Yeah. To PFAS. Yes, Alex, I'm gonna do. I'll post the recordings with a link. All right. Let me see. Deb, I'm not sure what's going on. It shows you're in the room. And now it shows you left. Oh, Teams is such a headache. I should have done Zoom. I thought last year it was even worse. I had to self-assign everybody, but this year they actually had where you could set up the breakout rooms ahead of time. And so I was hopeful that Teams would be able to pull it off.
I mean, each platform has its own fun. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I think everybody's good now.
I think so too. Yeah. Any last call?
Mm-hmm. Anybody else want to be where they're not, or be somewhere they? Yep. Whatever. Thank you guys for your help. I really appreciate it. That was tricky.
Thanks for running the show.
Mm-hmm. I hate that it was so last minute and we couldn't really get it down, but
I personally thought that Amy Weckel, she just gets it done. That's what I thought when I saw you pull this together. So thank you. I think everybody's very grateful. And, it's such a short timeline. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just do the best we can.
Right. And make the connections. And then once the connections are made, it should take care of itself.
Yep.
All right. Let's see if I can do something with you, Melissa, so that maybe you can assign rooms. No, you're already a host, I believe, because my only option is to make you an attendee.
Yeah, so I don't know where do you even see the option to assign rooms? Maybe that's the secret and I don't know it.
So if I just click on rooms, and then at the top it says breakout rooms, then unassigned, and then it says assign participants.
Yep, no, I don't have that. It says breakout rooms and then it lists the 3 breakout rooms and it says I can join, I can click an arrow and see all the people in each one, but there's no assign.
Welcome back, Christian.
Thanks, thanks, Amy. Excuse me.
All right. Anybody here have any questions? Or want to be somewhere else in the room and you're having difficulty getting there?
I just want to spend time with you, Amy. That's why I came back.
I mean, I don't blame you. Look at the people that are filtering back in. It's a thing. I really think you're just here to dodge all the questions.
I like
Well,
that answer.
What happens? I mean, like, and this happens in every RFP, right? Like, you get
His room got hot.
it becomes like a pre-proposal process. Like, hey, Christian, what if I did this? You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
okay, so it turns into that. So you got to be careful because you can't give anyone favoritism. You can't like somehow intimate that, like, oh yeah, that's solid. We'll definitely fund that. You can't do that,
Right.
right?
Can I ask
Which
a
is
question
fine.
of some of the other centers and institutes that are here? Amy, you said that you weren't aware of any centers sort of screening before they go forward. You know, we can't handle more than probably about 4 proposals in 2 weeks. We just don't have the
You
staff.
know,
So we have to screen. If I got 6 or 8, I have to select what we feel like are the strongest proposals to go forward. And I'm just wondering how common that might be.
well, we don't
Yeah.
screen ours, but I feel that 100%. We already have, I think, over 12 people that are submitting, and I have to go to SGA for the week.
Yeah.
A week right in there too. So
I mean, it's just not possible. We cannot make that turnaround time. And then our
Yeah.
OSP has asked for a larger lead before everything's submitted. So it's going to be worse this year than it ever has been.
So USGS, we tried to give you a longer lead time, and they took some of that already off the top.
No, they came out with a
No,
new
you
rule
mean-
this year that everything has to be in complete a whole week before the deadline.
Yeah.
And so we're
Yeah, we
asking for
have-
proposals
yeah.
2 weeks before the USGS deadline.
yep.
That gives
Yep.
us 1 week to process however many proposals we get. That's not possible.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, one of the things that we put in, so we don't do a screening process, but we do go through the applications just to make sure that there's no glaring things. You know, the budget is intact and everything's good before it even goes to sponsored programs. And I realize that takes time, but a lot of it, we also say everything has to go through that PI's fiscal office. You need to get their guidance
Same,
so that
yeah.
when it comes to us, it's complete. Like whatever you submit could potentially go to USGS as is if we don't have time to review it. Our process is strictly administrative, I think is what we say.
That's what we aim for as well.
Mhm.
And if there's a budget error, it just gets tabled. It doesn't go forward.
Mhm.
Because I can't go back and forth with the PI to fix it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Yeah, that was useful.
Yep. Sorry. I mean, yeah, I think our deadline is the 17th at noon.
Ours is the
Yep.
15th at 8 a.m.
Yeah, we're 15th also.
And we are anticipating some back and forth with the PIs and then getting it over. I think our sponsored programs office wants it by the 23rd.
It's a lift. There's no 2 ways around it. And especially right after the 104B.
But at least they're funded.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, on the USGS side, we're anticipating a decent uptick in the responses for these RFPs just because of the way it's been. So we're trying to gear up internally to get more reviewers just so we can turn them around because we're still going to have to go through whatever list we get.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll send a link out to the NIWAR community with the recording and everything following this. So it takes Microsoft Teams a while to release the recording, and then I'll download it and upload it to the box folder, and I'll share it with everybody. So then you can share it with each institute can share it on there, however they do it with their network. And hopefully, Christian, my goal with these is to limit the number of emails that you get. I hope that's working for you.
No, you did a really nice job with you have a great slide deck. You put it all together. You separate where you need to. It's well done. So I appreciate that, because there are some nuances with it, and you're trying to, you know what I mean? You're trying to help them navigate it or filter as they need to. Like, because you have to imagine, some people join this call and said, absolutely, I'm going to put in. And some people join the call and they go through your deck, and you're like, no, this doesn't fit with what I'm trying to do. So.
I don't know why I keep saying, oh yeah, there's a bunch of, oh, they're chatting within the rooms. I'm like, I keep hearing dinging and I don't understand what's happening.
So Amy, Christian, are we allowing just general questions right here?
For you, Jason, yeah.
Only if you
Hey.
use your Mississippi accent.
Hey, I appreciate that, no doubt. No, so I had a couple of guys, and when we had we've had two discussions, because I was interested in the aquatic invasives, because these two guys, that's their field. And the biggest I'm gonna say concern I was hearing from them was if they use the overhead for the match, then from their end, and again, y'all seen it, y'all been at this long enough, so they're not really getting any overhead off of the project because they're basically using it for the match, and then they still have to come up with something else to fulfill that other portion of the match. So it's what are we finding or seeing that people are doing to come up with that additional match? I mean, people just time. Is that typically what we're finding?
So for us, it depends on who the PI is and what all is involved in the project. So if we have a PI that is able to offer some of their time as match, that's the easy one. But we have PIs that don't have any time. They're not funded on non-sponsored funds, so they can't use their time. We've had where, like, say, some of our communications team or our web design, it depends. So what I always do is have the PI say what they're going to do in a project and put down who all is going to be doing things. And we also have a center on campus that you can apply for match. If you get funded, they then give the match for, say, an RA or students or something of that regards. But those are what at least we do. But the thing is it has to be part of the project, so it has to be work that's going to be done on it.
Right. Okay. Well, and like I said, I've done enough projects where we've got cost share ourselves, in which we may use our hard salary dollars as the match, or we may find a effort or an asset off of something else, apply for the match. So I don't know. I was just curious to see if there's anything out there that folks may have been doing that I'm just not aware of, that I hadn't seen, or that that I'm not aware of, that I haven't seen. So thank you. Christian, sorry to sidetrack on that question there.
You're all good.
Christian, I had a question that came up in my breakout group about if there is a PI and a co-PI that are different states. We're saying that the PI would submit through their state. Does the co-PI then, there's a subcontract, if they get funded, the subcontract would come from that lead state? Say Yufeng and I are working on a proposal together. Yufeng submits it. How How does that work? Or do we have to worry about that?
If you're on the same project, these are single projects, right? It's not like the base award.
Right.
These are single projects, so I don't think you need to make a subaward if the co-PI and PI are split, but that's probably honestly up to your OSB office if they were. I mean, because it's a matter of how would the university decide to pay you Fenn's costs, right? I would assume that from a university accounting standpoint, you'd have to make a subaward so they could track it on their side.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
And then if I had like the University of Cincinnati submitting, and then there's a subcontract from there, it'd probably come into OSU, and then we'd send part to Cincinnati and part to the other university.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, let's say University of Cincinnati puts a 104G into Ohio State, to the Ohio Water Resources Research Institute. You guys submit it, goes through review process, it gets selected. The award from USGS goes to your OSP, and then they have to make the full subaward down to University of Cincinnati.
Oh, so we'd send the whole thing down to Cincinnati, and Cincinnati had somebody in Mississippi, Jason's on it. So then Cincinnati sends money to Jason. So it's just kind of goes a few places.
Again, that's probably an OSP probably question. I
Okay.
don't know that I don't know that I've seen an example that had to do that, only because I haven't seen one that has tried to do that. So.
Okay. I'm just curious.
What, Linda, say that one more time. What are you talking about?
So if I have somebody from the University of Cincinnati that submits a 104G to us, they're the PI, but they brought you in, Jason, as a co-PI because you've got some really awesome PFAS samples that you got a researcher down there that's going to do something. And so like half of their money for their project is actually going to be a researcher in Mississippi. The money they get awarded, the money comes to Ohio State where our center is, but then we in turn ship it out to University of Cincinnati. And then Cincinnati breaks that apart and sends part of it back down to you, is kind of what I'm understanding is what would happen.
Yeah, and not you. Correct. Yeah, that's the way I would see it. That's the way I would see it done. Because we've got a project with somebody that was here at MSU, but has since gone to maybe Rutgers or something. They're somewhere up in the Northeast.
You had someone I think you had someone go to Cornell, Jason.
Cornell, that's right.
That out, yeah. So let's just be clear, and like this is the USG's position with this stuff, just so we're all clear. We select a proposal based on the institute. And so when we say Ohio got this proposal funded, we send it to the Ohio Water Resources Research Institute. Now, how you disperse from there is up to you, right? How your OSP wants to do it is up to you. Now, if you identify a subawardee in your proposal, we expect that you're going to send that money down to the University of Cincinnati, right? But that's how you guys distribute it, is per your own standard operating procedures. To Jason's example, and this is important too, we make an award to an institute, not to a PI. So it's always within the institute's discretion, and I've never seen one use it yet, but it's within the discretion of a university. Like I'll use you, Jason. So Jason, you have a PI that gets awarded, and we send the money to the institute. The award goes to your institute. If a PI leaves, takes a different job, leaves university, changes universities, it's within the discretion of the university, of the institute, to simply identify another PI to continue the work. You do not have to chase the money down to the PI. Now, I've never seen a university do that. Sometimes what we do is your OSP might end up having to work with, say, Cornell to now reallocate that money up to Cornell so they can get that money funded back to that PI.
Yes.
So just so everyone's aware, I know I gave these stats this winter, but I mean, in past years, there's pretty good success of these proposals. For the general, I think the average is about 1 in 4, 1 in 5 are selected. For AIS, it's somewhere around 1 and 2. And just because of the geographic limitations, we don't get a ton of proposals from the upper Mississippi River Basin. And for PFAS, I think it's something, it's like, I think PFAS is about 1 in 5. General's about 1 in 4, 1 in 3, something like that. So I do expect we'll get a lot more RFP proposals this year. So those success numbers will probably go down.
Well, thanks, Amy, for organizing. Thanks, Christian, for getting on and answering all our crazy questions.
Sure.
I'm off.